What's up guys, Magicka here from ProNDC. Welcome to another ESO build video. So in today's video I want to show you the updated version of the PvE Magicka Nightblade for the Dragon Bones DLC. In this video I want to show you the setup that I prefer using most of the time in most situations. Like, I enjoy using this the most, and of course I will talk about alternative setups, alternative gear. However, I already recorded a different version of this video and it just got too long, like 35 minutes plus, because I was talking about all the different setups that you could run, and I decided to release a different video where I only talk about gear alternatives. So if you want to know what you should run as a beginner, what you should run instead if you don't have access to certain gear, make sure to check out that video. I will make sure to put the link to that video in the video description and in the comment section. And yeah, so if you have questions, like if you want to know what you should run instead because you don't have access to the gear that I'm about to show you, just be patient and wait for it. Like, I'm pretty sure I will release it one day after the release of this video here. So just be a little bit patient. That's all I'm asking of you. And still, like, the setup that I'm about to show you is the one that's probably the easiest to get out of all of them. So I think we should get started with the video. Of course, like always, we start with the character sheet. So as you can see, High Elf Nightblade. For races, I think with the changes to off balance and more focused on actually fire damage, Dark Elf should be the better race. Should your race change if you are already a High Elf? I don't think so. Maybe you want to run different setups. Maybe you want to run something that's not like completely fire, based on fire damage. And if you want to run a lightning blockade, possibly the High Elf is a little bit better. And I also enjoyed the 10% more Magicka recovery more Magicka recovery for better sustain. And that's actually, for me, really cool, really important. So High Elf and Dark Elf are the two races that I recommend. Like, the damage difference is relatively small, but it's there. So if you want to go for max damage, probably just go with the Dark Elf. We use the Apprentice Wonderstone, we use the Clockwork Citrus Relay. And as you can see, I have really low HP, but don't worry, that's on my back bar, front bar. As you can see on my back bar, I have even less. And people might think I'm crazy, and yes, that's true, but not because I'm only running 15.3k HP. Here's the thing. In the groups that I run, we try to go for scores, we try to go for maximum damage, we try to really push it to the limits. And running that low amount of HP is a risk that we're willing to take. And I can assure you, I've completed Sanctorium hard mode, like a Silent Sanctorium hard mode, VMOL hard mode, Ethereum Archive hard mode, with this low amount of HP, and it works. If you, however, are not running in such a good group, or if it's too risky for you, what you can do is instead put some points into health. Go with a health enchantment of on one of your big pieces, like head, chest, or shoulder. Not shoulders. Head, chest, or legs. Or just replace one monster set piece with one that gives you HP. So those are the options you have to get more HP. And as you can see, those are the stats: Apprentice, Wonderstone, and I think I should get into gear. So for the monster set, I'm currently running Magicka. Gives you spell damage, gives you weapon damage. Why? Pretty simple. Spell damage and weapon damage scales a little bit better with your light and heavy attacks, of course. And we do a lot of light attacks. Like, light attacks are probably the attack that deal the most DPS in our rotation. It's really funny. The light attack damage is insanely high. Not just because of the Maelstrom stuff, but yeah. So spell damage, raw spell damage is better than, for example, running Growth Dart for Max Magicka. However, if you want to have a little bit more HP and you do not want to switch your attribute points all the time, what you can run instead is, for example, Narayaneth or Magicka, giving you max health for the one piece. It's 1.2k if it's gold, and you're sitting at 17.1 if I remember correctly, 17.1 on the front bar and 16.9 on the back bar, which should be more than enough for you to have on your Magicka Nightblade. So it's up to you, but you lose some spell damage, you lose a little bit of DPS, and I think if you want, like, the best solution is to actually put some attribute points into health to pump it up instead of dropping the spell damage. But anyway, that's it for the monster set. If you do not have access to Magicka's helmet, you get it from the White Goat Tower. Maybe it's still too difficult for you, I don't know. Try to get the Undaunted keys from the pledges and just go to the middle chest, because you can get Magicka's shoulders. And the good thing is, because the complete setup here is really easy to get, the good thing is you can use Magicka's shoulders and get one crafted helmet, for example, and it doesn't even matter if it's light, medium, or heavy. As you know, you can use transmute crystals to make it divines, and you can, for example, get a light Magicka shoulder and go with the heavy chest and medium legs, and you still have the 5/1/1 bonus from the Undaunted. So Magicka, the monster that I use, the first 5 piece that we use is Burning Spellweave. Really easy to get. It's from City of Ash. I recommend to just go City of Ash 1. Grab 3 friends. You can also farm by yourself. Like, I did City of Ash 1 on Vet by myself so many times. And you can just go and farm the jewelry pieces. So you need neck and rings, of course, and all the spell damage enchanted. And then I have 2 body pieces, legs and hands. And you can see the set bonuses for yourself. But the important thing is the 5-piece bonus. When you deal damage with a flame damage ability, not just the ability, also your enchantment, you have a 50% chance to apply the burning status effect to the enemy and increase your spell damage by 513 for 8 seconds. So what happens is the set bonus procs, lasts for 8 seconds, but the cooldown already starts when it procs. So the maximum possible uptime then, of course, is 66%. Then people said, like, oh, like in the last patches, people said Burning Spellweave is so bad. It's not good on the Magicka Nightblade. And guess what? It actually is. Because here you can see 60% Burning Spellweave uptime. That's actually pretty high. So you get a lot of spell damage. As you can see, this is my maximum completely self-buffed spell damage here. That's the average spell damage that I have throughout the whole target skeleton fight. And yes, I did this test with the Apprentice Wonderstone completely self-buffed with the exact same setup I'm using here. So yeah, that's Burning Spellweave for you. And the other 5-piece that we use only on the front bar is Mechanical Acuity. Let me actually charge my weapon here. So Mechanical Acuity, you can craft it by yourself, which is really awesome. So you can pick a style that you want. I've heard there's like some issues with performance from the outfit system. So I don't know, maybe you just want to go with the costume or just go with the regular armor. And mechanical acuity gives you weapon damage, spell damage, magic stamina, which is of course really good, and then the 5-piece bonus. When you do damage, you have a 15% chance to gain honoring mechanical vision for 5 seconds, causing your attacks to always be a critical strike. So basically what happens when you proc it, I'm just going to show you here. When we have a look at the stat sheet. Come on, proc. Okay, I'm just going to do it like this. Ah, okay. As you can see here, it just adds 100% crit chance to both your crit, your crit chances, spell and weapon, and that basically means you crit 100% of the time. We don't even use a monster set, so we don't have an ability or like any proc set that cannot crit. And that's pretty cool, especially in AoE situations. It's really good because you critically hit all the enemies that you hit with your AoEs, and that's really strong. So mechanical acuity always outperform Julianos for me. If you do not want to craft an extra set, you might even have like in Julianos Infernal Staff on the front bar. We only use acuity on the front bar, of course. You can just of course go with Julianos. Like, yeah, that's your alternative. Yeah, go with Julianos instead if you want to, and you will have slightly less damage. But in certain fights where there's like shields involved, like the first boss in VMOL, you might even be a little bit better off with Julianos because you cannot critically hit shields, and that means yeah, when mechanical acuity procs during that shield phase, it's a wasted set bonus. Because it has a really long cooldown. However, still the cooldown is short enough to make it stronger compared to Julianos, especially with all the crit modifiers in trials, like increased warhorn duration with minor force and stuff. And yeah, so that's pretty much it for the regular gear. The only really hard thing to get is the Maelstrom Inferno Staff. We have a Berserker enchantment on the back bar, has a really long uptime or really high uptime because we switch bars a lot. And it's of course infused. Infused the best trade here. Don't go with Nern. No, it's stupid. Go infused. And then we have infused here, of course, with the flame damage glyph on the front bar. Go with flame damage. You don't need the shock damage glyph. It's stupid. If you run burning spell weave, don't use that. So yeah, double inferno, and that's actually pretty much it for the gear. So let's talk about skills. I want to start here first. Actually, we don't want that here. That's just for DPS tests and stuff. So there's a little like a few options that you have, especially with rearming trap because of minor force. Yeah, 10% more crit damage, which of course synergizes really well with mechanical acuity, but I will get to that in a second. So we of course run Blockade of Fire to activate the Maelstrom Staff set bonus. Pretty simple, should be standard. It's AoE, it's really strong, use it. And we use, of course, we have Blockade of Fire, and that's stronger this patch because more focus on fire damage actually, and burning enemies take 20% more damage from this ability. So yeah, Blockade of Fire. Crippling Grasp, single target dot, really good. Try to keep it up all times. Same goes for your Blockade of Fire. Then we have Siphoning Attacks. This ability heals us with our light and heavy attacks, and that's also really cool for sustain because we restore up to 4.2k additional Magicka when the effect ends based on the length of the time Siphoning Attacks was active. So even if you recast it early, you still get back some Magicka. I just recommend to let it run out and try to recast it at some point in rotation, because like with that much recovery, we don't really need it, except for Asylum Centaurium hard mode. Yeah, maybe not even there anymore because of the improved synergies. That's actually really cool now with the synergies this patch. Those are basically the only one. It's the only thing that really works in this patch. It's the synergies. It's really funny. Then we have kind of a flex spot. We have Inner Light here, giving us more max Magicka, giving us 5% from the skill, and then from the passive here 2%. You can replace that with Rearming Trap if you want to. We are playing around currently with Twilight Remedy from the healers sometimes. giving us minor force for 10 seconds when we use the synergy of the healer, which is cool. In VMOL, for example, I usually get guard, so I don't need rearming trap. And in fights where I don't need a shield, harness Magicka in this case, I just put trap here. So it just depends a little bit on the situation. Like these are kind of the flag spots, and I try to swap things around here from time to time and adjust it to the situation. Then we have Soul Harvest here. Basically, we use it only in execute to boost our impale damage, and yes, our impale's maximum hit is really high, like really high. So Soul Harvest really strong, low cost ultimate, and yeah, I also have it on the back bar to get the hemorrhage passive, increase your critical damage done by 10%. So there's like a rumor that this passive is not working. It might be true. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest, but I feel like DPS should be a bit more like a bit higher, not a lot, but a bit higher. And it might actually even be true that this passive is currently bugged, because like it's just like 3 days into the patch, and yeah, they might fix it. I really hope they look into it if it's true, and yeah, that will increase DPS a tiny bit more. On front bar, we have Fiery Rage as the Destro ultimate, and our Destruction Staff ability, really strong. Use it, it's really good for AoE, of course. Then we have Inner Light here, of course, again. Impale Execute, using at 25%, pretty self-explanatory. Twisting Path, really good AoE ultimate. Yeah, it got buffed over the last few patches a lot of times, and it's really strong now. Then you have Merciless Resolve. So this is a skill that I will talk about a bit more in a second. When we stack 5 light or heavy attacks, we can shoot a spectral bow. They changed that because the stacks will save if you do not leave combat, and if you recast it too early or recast it at some point later in the fight, it will remember the stacks, and once you're hitting 5 again, you can shoot the spectral bow. And those bows are really strong. They're almost as strong as your impales. So yeah, make sure to hit a lot of these, because it's also free sustain. The bow procs, when you shoot them, they're free. You don't have to pay Magicka for them, and that makes it really easy to sustain a light attack rotation on the Magicka Nightblade. Then we have Funnel Health. So Funnel Health heals us and an ally. Don't go with the other morph in group scenarios. Go with the other morph if you play VMA or only solo, but don't go with that morph for dungeons and trials. Don't be some selfish prick. Heal your allies a little bit, and it actually does quite a bit of healing, trust me. So yeah, use like that. In the last patch, I used Force Pulse most of the time, and then I also recommended a Sanctorium Staff. But the issue with the Sanctorium Staff, I'm not sure why my add-on is only showing my lightning stays, to be honest. The issue with the Sanctorium Staff is once you hit the second Force Pulse but into a bar swap, it doesn't apply the status effects. So basically the staff becomes useless if you have a rotation where you bar swap a lot. I know there's some console players that like keep recasting their 3 dots here in the same order every time, and overcast Twisting Path all the time, but I don't do that. I keep bar swapping a lot. But anyway, so what has been changed to Merciless Resolve? I want to talk about this a bit more. That's why I decided to split the video and put gear alternatives in a different video so it doesn't get too long. So basically, what used to work in the last few patches, what you've seen in my gameplay videos, like I'm at 4 here, and what used to work was like clicking or doing a light attack and then shooting Spectral Bow immediately. But that doesn't work now, because you only get the 5th hit once your projectile from your fire staff hits the enemy. So I can shoot it now, but as you can see, I need to actually hit the 5th one and then I can shoot. It's a little bit stupid, but it counts 1 stack again. Oh, I'm sorry, I just messed it up. So basically, like we hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then light attack bow, and it already has counted to 1. You can see it here. It already counted to 1, so I can 1, 2, 3, 4. But I didn't do a light attack here because I screwed it up and it didn't count the stack. So basically for the first one, you can do, you have to do 6 or like 5 light attacks, then light attack Spectral Bow, and then it casts already 1 stack, and then after the next 4 you can shoot it again. It's a little adjustment and it's a little bit annoying in trials in certain situations because basically it only counts your projectiles that hit the enemy. That's a bit stupid because in VS hard mode, St. Olms gets protected by these spheres. So the spheres that protect him prevent him from taking damage, and only if your projectiles hit do damage, they count. So like if you just if you don't hit your enemy, you don't get the stacks. And that's a little bit annoying, but nothing you can actually change about that. I'm not sure if that's intended, if it's a bug, if they really wanted to be like that, and if they're gonna change it. But as of right now, that's how Merciless Resolve works. I really hope they revert the changes and go back to how it was last patch, but yeah, it's not the first time that Zenimax brings a new patch and stuff doesn't work. Just basically how it is. So let's talk a bit about rotation, even though there's no actual rotation. So I don't have a rotation. What I recommend, even for the console players, is not recasting these 2 skills at the same time. Recast your blockade. When it runs out, go to the front bar, do 1 funnel, go to the back bar, do Crippling Grasp. The reason for that is pretty simple. If you stay on your back bar, or like, let's go here. If you stay on the back bar and you recast this, then maybe this here, and maybe even shield. You're on the back bar for like 4 or 5 seconds until you go to your front bar to actually make use of your weapon damage enchantment. It already runs out. So to make proper use of this enchantment here, try to bar swap a lot. And because we use infused, we can get actually a possible like 100% uptime. Of course, that's usually not the case because in X we just spam impale on the front. But we get between 60-70% uptime on this enchantment, which is really good if you do it correctly. Here, we also have reduced cooldown. I think the cooldown is 3 seconds, if I remember correctly, on infused. And basically, with every third attack, a third or fourth attack, we can use the damage here. So you don't want to waste the cooldown of this damage enchantment on the front by just recasting everything on the back bar and then recasting paths. So like what people do usually on consoles, it looks like this. And then they recast their stuff. You saw that I recasted my path 2 seconds too early. And people play like this. And yeah, that might be fine. People get some good results with crit luck, but honestly, like, that's not how I recommend to play. It's of course hard because you cannot really track buffs and debuffs on console, but so basically how I play is like this. So this is how I start a fight. I just start like that, of course, too. And I cast and recast my stuff once it runs out. You see, yeah, that I focus on letting my dots, my buffs not run out. That's how I play it, and that's basically the most effective way to play Magicka Nightblade. I have gameplay on my channel from Clockwork City DLC because rotation is pretty much the same. Only thing that really changed was Merciless Resolve, and if you want to check out the gameplay, go to my channel. I have some pretty good parsers, I think. I'm not like the best mech blade, but I think I'm not the worst, and those numbers were relatively high for last patch. So yeah, guys, those were skills, rotation and stuff. If you have any more questions about that, just ask in the comment section. We go to CP now. So this is for Exhaling Sumptorium. For green tree, I adjusted a little bit, so I don't really need to break free in the Exhaling Sumptorium, so I only put 9 points here. I have 3 into Sprinter because I need to sprint at some points actually. If I need to go back to my position and stuff, so yeah. You might want to put some more points into Warlord if you need to in other trials. We have like 56 into Tenacity and 76 into Arcanist. That's what I always keep. And then currently 40 Tumbling, 56 Shadow Ward, because I have to block a lot in Sanctorium. So I have 81 Ironclad, 64 into Spell Shield for Sanctorium only. Usually I go with like 61 here and like around 20, 30 something here. 49, 49 and then 44. That's what I usually play. Now I have 64 in Elo Defender, 16 into Bastion and 15 into Quick Recovery. As I said, that's only for Exhaling Sumptorium. For the blue tree, so I currently have 14 into Thaumaturge. I'm even considering to reduce that a tiny bit, but yeah, there's like Constellations actually recommends to go lower on Thaumaturge. Like really, sometimes I even recommend just putting 7 points into Thaumaturge. However, like you always have to look at the function values, and then you can see like if it actually makes that much of a difference. And in the end, it really doesn't. So 40 into Thaumaturge. I currently have 5 into Staff Expert. You might want to take those out depending on the situation and put them all into Spell Erosion. Yeah, like you could use 2 more points here. 32 should be just about the right amount, but we do a lot of damage with our light attacks. So I have some points here just to boost it a little bit more. Might not even be worth it. To be honest, I get some really decent results with this CP layout. I have 61 to Mastered Arms, 56 Elemental Expert, and 48 Elfborn. Is it the best CP distribution? No, but I tried it out. I tried out a bit, like a few different ones, and the results were pretty close all the time. Sometimes it's just crit luck. I don't want to heavily focus on Elfborn just for those 5 seconds when I have Mechanical Acuity active. Yes, you get higher numbers in the end, probably. But I just wanted to boost my raw damage, my overall raw damage. Instead of using something that's not like, or investing a lot of points into something that's not active when I do not crit. Like, keep in mind, every time you do not critically strike, Elfborn doesn't get activated. So like you waste all the points in here. Like we still have a decent around 50% crit chance. With the Sork in the group, it's a little bit more, of course, 3% more. But yeah. So anyway, guys, that's the setup that I currently use. The video is a little bit longer, but I think I explained everything to a point where most of the players out there should understand it. If you have any more questions, feel free to ask them in the comment section. Keep in mind, I will upload a different video where I'm going to talk about gear alternatives. So check out the comment section and the video description if you want to see the alternative gear setups that I have for you. Anyway, guys, that's it for today. Make sure to hit the like button if you liked the video, and if you do not want to miss any more ESO content, hit the sub button. I'd really appreciate it. I hope you tune in next time too, so hope to see you then. Bye bye.